Welcome to a special episode of the Pursuit Podcast. It is Closer Weekend here at Crosspoint City Church, and it's 4 days of preaching, prayer, and worship, and we just wrapped up night one. It was incredible, and I'm here with my friend, night one speaker, Pastor Léonce Crump. Dude, so grateful for you. Thank you for being in the house tonight.
Yeah, man.
It was such a good word, and I want you to tell us why you preached it, because, I mean, you know, when we ask you to preach, it's not like I give you a text or a topic even. Here's what we're trying to do. We're just going after the presence of God. So pray through it and bring whatever God gives you. So what led you to preach this sermon about functional atheism, which I love that phrase, by the way.
Yeah, man, it's a little bit of a twist and turn, and a lot of it is a story I shared.
Yeah.
It was coming to my own epiphany as someone who loves Jesus, who spends a good deal of time in the Word. I do. But coming to an epiphany that I could go many, many days without feeling conscious of God's presence and work in my life.
Yeah.
And as I was praying through that in my own world, journaling that, I almost shared a journal entry tonight, but that felt a little too vulnerable. But as I was praying through that for myself, I just felt like the Spirit said, this is where a lot of people are. This is kind of the wall they hit, you know? When you become a Christian, that's kind of your first step of obedience. Like you're gonna receive Jesus' love, and then you're gonna start trying to do what He asks you to do. Yeah. And then there's this third phase where you just kind of hit a wall because it becomes routine. Right. And it becomes almost automatic in a way that's not healthy. Yeah. And as I was mulling that over, I was reminiscing about many conversations I had with a brother who became a good friend of mine. He was an avowed atheist when I met him. He comes to our church now about once a quarter. Yeah. And he's become a seeker. It took me 15 years. Yeah. But he's become a God seeker. Yeah. And I started thinking about many of our conversations, and I'm like, man, there are days I don't live my life any differently than Andy. Any differently. I wake up, I go, drink my coffee, complain about traffic, get to work, do my work, have my meetings, go to the carpool, pick up the kids, go to practice, come home, scramble to put dinner together, everybody eats, get people in bed, and I can go a whole day and I haven't given any intentional thought to where God is active in my life. Yeah. And how is that any different than active atheism? Right. Other than the knowledge we have of the grace of God that's kind of carrying us through, even in those moments. That's right. But that's what drove the topic for me.
Strong, man. It makes me think, because you preach from the Gospel of John, and it makes me think about the word he uses all throughout the Gospel, believe.
Correct.
And what that word actually means in the Greek, it's pisteuo, and it means to entrust.
That's right.
It's so easy to say, I believe, like we throw the word belief around. But are we entrusting our lives to Jesus each day?
Well, yeah, because entrusting requires communication. It requires engagement. Yeah. I think my favorite phrase is, it requires a God consciousness. Yeah. Like I'm not just going through my day. Yeah. I read a little book years ago about a brother who tried to spend every waking moment in prayer. He said, if I can take, like, what would life be like if I took pray without ceasing? Yeah. Seriously. And then he chronicles kind of some of his experiences. Yeah. And that was another kind of one of those Ebenezer's, one of those pinpoints from like, I remember reading that and thinking, what would it be like to not make a single decision I didn't talk to God about first? Yeah. Not one. Yeah. And that's what I think we're being invited into.
Yeah. And nobody does that. I mean, nobody thinks like that. Especially dudes. Like, one of the questions I was just turning over in my mind. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Because, I mean, we're super passionate about discipling men here at Crosspoint
Yep.
City Church. You described it was in a men's group that you threw out the statement. You know,
That's
I feel
right.
like a functional atheist.
That's right.
Do you feel like some of what you're describing, do you feel like any of this is unique to men? And not unique in the sense of like women don't struggle with it, but unique to men in the sense of like, dude, we're dumb men. And oftentimes we believe we're fine on our own and we've got it and we can do it. I know as men, it's easy for us to walk in isolation, not just from other men, but even from the Lord. Do you see any uniqueness there in regards to men? Is it any different?
I think it's inherent to men.
Yeah.
I think that's what would make it unique.
Yeah.
Is self-sufficiency, drive and ambition.
Yeah.
Those are things that are inherent to men.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason why you have to intentionally go after men with the gospel.
Yeah.
Because most of them think they're fine
Yeah.
until they have a big blow up.
Right.
So, suicide rates among young men, we don't talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drug use, burnout, all of those things are just the fruit of a man who thinks he can do it on his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I do think it's inherent to us.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about what you said, like ambition being inherent, drive being inherent. These are good things that God has put within men.
That's right.
The problem is that too many men point those ambitions in the wrong direction or at the wrong things.
Well, they make them God things.
Correct.
That's what I did.
Yes.
And that's what we all do.
Yeah.
Our greatest error is taking good things and making them God things, especially at a certain point in your walk. I said this in my message at my place on Sunday. There comes a point where, and I don't say this with any arrogance because I believe you'll understand where I'm going. For maturing Christians, there comes a point where it's not about good and bad anymore.
Right.
It's about nourishing, not nourishing. Promoting holiness,
Yeah.
devaluing holiness. Drawing me closer, drawing me further.
Yeah.
It could be benign things. Social media is not inherently, well, it might be
right.
inherently wicked.
Yeah, it's up for debate, right?
but there are things that are just simply benign.
Yeah.
I'm a documentary guy. I love documentaries. I stay up too late watching the documentary.
Yeah.
Then I want to get up and have my prayer time in the morning because I'm tired.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like I intentionally rejected God.
Sure.
It is that I chose something not nourishing,
Yeah.
which is now prohibiting that nourishment.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of us find ourselves at this phase in our faith is ambition is not bad.
Right.
It just needs to be redeemed.
That's right.
Drive is not bad,
Yep.
but we can't turn it into God.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And surrendering those things to Jesus
Yeah.
is actually what leads to an abundant life.
Yeah, man. What you said, good things, when we make good things God things, this is the very definition of idolatry.
That's correct.
That we are taking a created thing, which is good because God made it. It came from his hand. It's a gift from the Father.
Right.
And we act like that can somehow do for us what only God can do.
Yeah.
And so instead of chasing him, we chase after that. We put our trust in it. We put our hope in it. And the problem with temporary things is they can't satisfy our
That's right.
souls. And so to your point, it's like, yeah, you're going to hit a wall if you don't figure this out. The kindness of God is to let you run headfirst into that wall.
Yes.
In hopes of waking you up to your own foolishness and stupidity, right?
That's exactly right.
You're looking in the wrong place. I often tell our men when it comes to things like success or money or influence, I'm like, go make as much money as you possibly can and then use it to fund the kingdom.
That's right.
Go take hold of as much influence as you can and use it to serve people who are in need, right?
And at any moment,
Yeah.
if you feel something rise in your heart that tells you you're better than somebody else because of it,
That's right.
confess it, repent,
Yeah.
and start again.
That's right. Well, dude, speak to this, because and I feel like we're stepping on it as we're talking. You said something in the sermon, and then you were like, we'll talk about that later, okay? But I don't know when later's gonna come. I have you right now. So you made the comment, and I wrote it in my notes, put a big box around it. I leaned over to Moody. I was like, I'm asking that on the podcast, But you said fruitfulness is not the same as success.
Yes.
Fruitfulness is not the same as success. Will you just unpack that?
Well, the first thing I'll do to unpack it is tell you that was 100% extemporaneous.
Okay.
From the Holy Spirit, I believe, in the moment.
Yeah.
And so processing it on the other side of it, I think what I was trying to encapsulate is we see a lot of success.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
People build great things.
Yeah.
Great things. We have great tools. Steve Jobs was successful, right? Bill Gates has been successful. Warren Buffett has been successful.
Yeah.
But all of it will go away.
Right.
And that's what I'm parsing.
Yeah.
Fruitfulness has lasting value.
Yeah.
Fruitfulness has eternal value.
Yeah.
Fruitfulness is directly contributed to from the life source that is Jesus.
Yeah.
Success builds great temporary things that eventually fade away.
Right.
And that's why those things are synonymous. And I think we make them synonymous because success feels tangible.
Yeah.
This is the golden calf at the bottom of Mount Sinai.
Yeah, yeah.
They knew God. Like, they saw it.
Right.
I'm going back through the Exodus right now, and I'm marveling. I'm marveling. Like, you saw the frogs, you saw the blood, you saw the sea, you saw the food from you heard the Lord's voice, thunder from the top of Mount Sinai.
Yep.
Moses leaves for 2 days.
Yep. What are they doing?
And they build something that feels like success.
Yeah.
Because fruitfulness doesn't feel tangible enough.
It's crazy, bro, just how dark the human heart can be. I'm actually reading back through Exodus right now as well.
Nice.
I read, I think it was 23 and 24 this morning. So I'm almost to the part of the story that you're talking about, God's been laying out the law.
Yep.
And again, it's so interesting when you look at, the 10 Commandments are not the only place in Exodus where God says, don't worship something created in my place. Don't carve idols or make images. Yet the human heart just has this natural tendency to go that way. Well, I think it was Calvin. Did he say that the heart is a perpetual idol factory?
Yep.
It's like built into us. And if we don't work in cooperation with the Spirit of God to put that to death, that's what we'll do. We'll just look for them and make them and worship them and bow down to them. And it's super scary, man. I know, you mentioned this briefly. You didn't get into the depths of it, but you mentioned, because you've had success over the course of your life, man. Not just in preaching and church playing, but in playing ball and in wrestling and all this stuff. And, dude, you were in the league for a stretch of your life.
Yeah.
Around men.
Yep.
Who are highly successful, but in your words, absolutely miserable.
Miserable. And I do mean miserable.
Yeah.
How do you drive away in a Lamborghini? Miserable.
Yeah, yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
And Coach Brown talks about this. You would probably remember. You remember when he tried to kill himself?
Coach Prime, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, Dion.
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
He drove his car off a cliff.
Was he still in Atlanta at that time?
Yes.
I don't remember this.
Look it up when you get a chance.
Okay.
He wouldn't admit it then. He admits it now.
Wow.
That he was trying to end his life because he had done everything. World Series, Super Bowl, college team, all the money. He was prime, and he was empty. And he said, one night I was driving down the road, and I thought, what true value does my life have? And then I drove my car off the road and into a ravine.
Insane.
Yeah, man.
I've not heard that. But these are the stories, and I appreciate his willingness to share that now. These are the stories that people have to hear because, again, the lie that so many people believe is if I can make that, achieve that, obtain that, acquire that, then I'll finally be fulfilled in life.
That's right.
And your whole sermon tonight was, no, you won't. No, you won't.
That's the byline.
Right.
That's the byline.
There's one being that can satisfy you and fulfill you in the way you need to be fulfilled, and it is the God who created you.
That's right.
So, man, you ended the sermon, and I thought this was so great, man, just landing the plane on this point. That what do we do with all this? We intentionally go after God.
Yes.
We intentionally go after God. So just to give people some practical handles, people are going to show up and listen to this, and they're like, okay, I'm in that place, and I'm the idle person, and I'm trusting in stuff that can't satisfy. Like, how would you as a pastor, if you were sitting at Starbucks with this person, intentionally go after God? How would you explain that for them? Like, where do they start? What does that look like? Daily practices.
So I'm going to start with illustration. When you first met your wife, before she was your wife, what did you do?
What did I do?
You drove as far as you had to.
Yeah.
You spent money you didn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe you learned some words in some other languages to look impressive. I'm just making this stuff up.
Yeah.
But the point is, when we thought we found our person, we went after him with great intentionality. I didn't tell Brianna no for the first year of our relationship, even though I should have.
Right.
I drove her to Nashville at 4 o'clock in the morning, even though I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because I wanted her.
Yeah.
And so I intentionally altered my behaviors and rhythms to go after her.
Yeah.
So that I can have her as my wife.
Yeah.
I would say for us in our relationship with God, it's very similar. So first we have to decide that we want him.
Yeah.
Do you really want? Yes, I love what you said. God goes where he's wanted. So then the inverse question is, do you really want him?
That's right.
Do you really want him?
Yeah.
And if you do, then what systems are you going to put in place in your life that help you intentionally go after God?
Right.
Right? To quote James Clear, we don't rise to the level of our goals.
Yeah.
We fall to the level of our systems.
Right.
So how do I intentionally go after God? Find the right tools.
Yeah.
If you don't like to read your Bible, get the Dwell app.
That's right.
And let that Kenyan brother read you the Bible. Okay? I got an old Englishman named Russell, and I love to hear Russell read
Just sounds
from
smarter.
Exodus.
Just say, yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Put the right tools in place.
Yeah.
Okay? You need some kind of regular engagement with the scriptures.
Yeah.
If you have trouble praying, then get a book of prayer and pray those prayers.
Right.
Or pray the prayers out of the Psalms.
That's it. Pray the Bible. Yeah.
You need community.
Yeah.
Put yourself in a position to see and be seen.
Yeah.
You need gathered worship.
Yeah.
You need to serve. You need to serve.
Yeah.
Those are the ingredients, I believe, of intentionally going after God. And then I would say the base, the roux, for any Louisiana folks out there, the roux of the gumbo is a persistent God consciousness that is cultivated by all those other things.
Yeah.
And that is minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day.
Yeah.
God, what should I do here? What should I do here? Dude, you've been trained in great schools. I've been trained in great schools.
Yeah.
And how many times has our education fallen short? And we have to wait for the Spirit to tell us what to do next.
Yeah.
And if we weren't
More than
amiable,
we can count. Right. Yeah.
and if we weren't amiable to that.
That's right.
So, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day.
Yeah.
God, what should I do here? God, should I take this job? Don't just take the job.
Yeah.
Because You see it as a financial promotion, but now it's taking you out of your community. Now you're so pressed without margin that you don't have time to do the things that feed your soul.
Yeah.
So, God, should I take this? Should I move here? Should I stay? It is taking our unconscious belief that God's going to guide me.
Yeah.
And turning it to a conscious rule of life.
Yeah.
That I'm going to go to him first every time.
Yeah.
And then these other pieces cultivate that capacity to go to him first.
So good, man. Yeah, what you said about your wife, it makes me think of a line that I've used with our people in the past, that desperation is a deliberate decision.
That's right.
I have to choose to be desperate.
That's right.
For the Lord.
That's right.
And it's a daily choice I make, right? It's, I was speaking at an event recently, Psalm 84.
Oh,
which is a beautiful psalm of this man on his way to Jerusalem, probably heading to one of the feasts, and he's going to the temple where he knows the presence of God.
That's right.
And he's just hungry, man. So, I mean, just like desperate, longing to get there. Better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere.
But we got to believe that.
That's what I was going to say next. Is that our heart?
Yeah.
Does that type of desperation live in us? Because when that desperation lives in us, it fuels those practices. I mean, I grew up in a church where I thought those practices that you just described, these were just things that good Christians do. I read the Bible and pray and I serve and I show up to church because this is what good Christians do. And I want to be a good Christian, so I check the boxes. What I failed to realize is that no, these are means of grace.
That's right.
By which I open my life up to the Spirit of God so that he can do the work of sanctification in me and transform me more into the image and likeness of Jesus. And the reason I want to be like him is because I desire him. I'm desperate for him.
That's right.
And so it's just, I'm getting in his presence because that's my goal. I want to know him and be like him. I want to know him and I want to make him known in his world. So when I finally understood that about these practices, it was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
And so I would say as well, man, and I think what you shared is so good. Like, be desperate and engage in the disciplines with the right motivation.
Well, the disciplines are not the goal.
That's exactly right.
That's the piece that much of what Western Christianity is misses.
That's right.
Those are not the goal.
Yeah.
Those are a means to the goal, who is God.
That's right.
And it really is that simple of a shift.
Yeah.
So we don't read the Bible out of habit or routine, or because we have to, or because we're afraid.
Yeah.
We read it because this is the language God speaks, and so I'm going to find him here.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to find him here, and I'm going to learn that he sings and he dances over me, and he delights over me, and therefore shame can't rule over me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where the transformation happens.
Yeah, yeah. So good, man. My brother, I appreciate you again for being here tonight, for preaching, bringing the word. Dude, you blessed our people. Our people love you, seriously, and we're just grateful to have you, man. And thanks for hanging around doing this podcast.
Oh, no problem.
Man, I know that these conversations are always helpful, and I do pray it's been helpful for you. And so thanks for listening. As we always say, we're here for you. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Pursuit with James Griffin. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll never miss an episode. If you have questions about the message, the scriptures, or faith in general, you can send them to us by texting the word question to the number 22722. For more information about our church or this podcast, please visit crosspointcity.com or follow us online at Crosspoint City. If you found value in this podcast, we would love it if you took time to like it and share it with a friend. Doing that will help more people know and follow Jesus. And finally, we want to invite you to join us each week for one of our gatherings in person or live on YouTube. We hope to see you soon.